There are some historical mysteries that may never be solved because there is no solid evidence. Sometimes, it is because relevant excavated material has been lost or the archaeological site has been destroyed. It could also be because new evidence is unlikely to emerge or the evidence that exists is too vague to lead experts to a consensus. In 1888, Jack the Ripper killed at least 5 women in London, and then mutilated their bodies. A number of letters allegedly from the Ripper were sent to the police, mocking officers' attempts to find the Ripper, but this is still a matter of debate as it is not yet known whether the Ripper actually sent them. The name Jack the Ripper comes from the letters that were sent. Needless to say, the Ripper was never found, and over the years many people have been named as possible candidates. A recent book stated that a woman named Lizzie Williams was the Ripper, although other Ripper experts doubt this. It seems unlikely that the Ripper's true identity will ever be known with certainty. A Union leader known for his involvement in organized crime disappeared in Oakland County, Michigan, on July 30, 1975. He is currently presumed dead, but the identity of the killer and the location of his body remains a mystery. Police and forensic anthropologists have searched a number of sites in Detroit and Oakland County, but have found no results. One popular theory is that Hoffa's body was buried under Giants Stadium in New Jersey, but this theory has been debunked. Prior to his death in 2006, Richard the Iceman Kuklinski, a hitman, confessed to killing Hoffa and dumping her body in a landfill. A writer named Philip Carlo visited Kuklinski in prison before he died and wrote a book about Kuklinski's confession. After the book came out, a number of police officers cast doubt on the confession in media interviews. As time went on, it seemed more and more unlikely that Hoffa's body could be found. Ancient writers claim that Cleopatra VII and her lover, Mark Antony, were buried together in a tomb after their deaths in 30 BC. The writer Plutarch, 45 to 120 AD, wrote that the tomb was located near the Temple of Isis, an Egyptian goddess, and was a tall and beautiful monument containing treasures made of gold, silver, emeralds, pearls, ebony, and ivory. However, until now the location of the tomb remains a mystery. In 2010, Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, carried out excavations at a site near Alexandria now called Taposiris Magna, which contains a number of tombs dating to the era when Cleopatra VII ruled Egypt. While many interesting archaeological discoveries were made, Cleopatra VII's tomb was not among those that Hawass reported in a series of news releases. Archaeologists have noted that although Cleopatra's tomb has survived to this day, it was probably heavily looted and cannot be identified. This is perhaps the greatest mystery in American history that will never be solved. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas by Lee Harvey Oswald, although some speculate that he was not the only one shooting. On November 24, 1963, before Oswald was put on trial, Oswald was fatally shot by nightclub owner Jack Ruby. The most widely accepted explanation is that Oswald killed JFK himself and Ruby killed Oswald of his own free will. Ruby's known motivation for shooting Ocelot was to spare Jacqueline Kennedy from the distraction of Oswald returning to court. Yet there are still a large number of professional historians, along with many amateurs, who disagree with this explanation. Since JFK's death, many alternative explanations have been put forward by historians and amateurs alike. Given that significant new evidence is unlikely to emerge, a definitive consensus may never be reached. For more than 2 centuries, stories have circulated that Oak Island, located off Nova Scotia, Canada, has a hidden treasure pit supposedly left by the pirate Captain William Kidd, 1645 to 1701. During that time, many expeditions costing millions of dollars have traveled to the island in search of the lost treasure, but to no avail. Despite centuries of searching, no treasure has been found on Oak Island. That hasn't stopped people from trying to find it. A History Channel show called Curse of Oak Island follows a modern-day expedition. The show was recently renewed for a 4th season in 2016. Another treasure story that may never be solved is that in 1952, a copper scroll was discovered by archaeologists in a cave, along with other Dead Sea Scrolls, at the Qumran site. As the name suggests, the inscription is engraved on a copper scroll. The scroll recorded a large amount of hidden gold and silver treasures, but some experts believe that it couldn't possibly exist. The scrolls date back more than 1,900 years to the time when the Roman Empire ruled the Qumran region. There were a number of rebellions against Roman rule at the time the scroll was written, and scientists hypothesized that the treasure was hidden to prevent its capture by Roman troops. Whether the treasure was real, where exactly it was hidden, whether it was ever found, and whether it still exists today are all mysteries that will likely never be solved. In 587 BC, the Babylonian army, under King Nebuchadnezzar II, managed to conquer Jerusalem, then plundered the city and destroyed the first temple, a building used by the Jews to worship a god. The first temple contained the Ark of the Covenant, which contained stone tablets that recorded the 10 Commandments. The fate of the Ark is now unclear. Ancient sources indicate that it was brought back to Babylon or hidden before the city was captured. It is also possible that the Ark of the Covenant was destroyed during the looting of the city, and its current location is unclear. Since its disappearance, a number of stories and legends about the Ark's fate have been told. One story suggests the Ark eventually made its way to Ethiopia, where it is kept today. Another story says the Ark was divinely hidden and would not appear until a Messiah arrived. Ancient writers describe a series of fantastic gardens built in the ancient Babylonian city of modern-day Iraq. It is not clear when the park was built, but some ancient writers were so impressed with the garden that they called it a wonder of the world. Around 250 BC, Philo of Byzantium wrote that the Hanging Gardens had plants cultivated at a height above ground level, and tree roots embedded in the upper terraces rather than in the ground. So far, archaeologists who have excavated Babylon have been unable to find garden remains that match this description. This makes archaeologists ask about the truth about the existence of the Hanging Garden. In 2013, Stephanie Daly, a researcher at the University of Oxford, proposed in a book that the park was actually located in the Assyrian city of Nineveh. Over the past 2 decades, both Babylon and Nineveh have suffered the ravages of war and plunder, and it seems that this mystery will never be completely solved. Writing in the 4th century BC, The Greek philosopher Plato told a story about a land called Atlantis that was in the Atlantic Ocean and supposedly conquered most of Europe and Africa in prehistoric times. In the story, the prehistoric Athenians counterattacked Atlantis in a conflict that ended in the loss of Atlantis under the waves. While no expert believes this story to be true, some have speculated that the legend may have been inspired by real events that occurred in Greek history. One possibility is that the Minoan civilization, which flourished on the island of Crete until about 1400 BC, could have inspired the story of Atlantis. Although Crete is in the Mediterranean and not in the Atlantic, Minoan settlements were badly damaged by the eruption of Thera, a volcano in Greece. In addition, archaeologists discovered that the Minoans were eventually defeated or forced to join a group of people called the Mycenaeans, who lived on the Greek mainland. Those are some interesting facts about the mysteries that exist in this world. If you have new information about the mysteries in this world, let's share knowledge in the comments column.